Welcome, everyone, to our live stream today. We're going to talk about how AI can transform retail hiring and boost interview to hire ratio by 30%. I'm joined by Christy Honeycutt and Martin Mathe from Appy Here, and they are a Canadian technology company that is making a big push into the US right now. And so we're going to look a little bit at their tech and talk about some stats on how AI can help retail and hourly hiring. Uh, Great to have you guys here. Introduce yourselves. Tell us what's going on.
Thank you for having us. I'm Christy Honeycutt. I'm the SVP of Strategy and Execution for Appy Here. I have about 20 years of practitioner experience in talent acquisition and a little bit in HR. Come from working with brands such as Korn Ferry, IBM, and several large ones. So excited to be here.
So thank you for the opportunity, Greg. So Martin Mathe, I'm one of the co-founder of Appy Here. Been in HR more than 26 years now. I started in labor relation. I had the chance to work in very different industries. So aerospace, mining, the tax industry, the video game industry. And my life changed in 2018 when I met my co-founder, Serge Mascotte, who was the general manager of the platform at Taleo. Came to me with the idea of Appy Here. So in a nutshell, what we do at Appy Here, we're a data and automation-centric end-to-end platform for in the hourly market. So we're doing only hourly recruiting. And what we do, we have unique data that we mine using AI to help our customer do better hire, have better retention, and provide a better candidate experience.
So I'll tell you from my experience, I've only ever seen a couple of mobile first ATS type platforms, generally for retail. They work great for managers and any hourly hiring. And they're fantastic for those candidates that might not be regularly checking email from you. And so the experience is smooth and clean and pretty and fast. And that's what you really want with recruiting your hourly workers. And you can also use the system to communicate with existing employees and more. And so, Martin, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of the state of the industry in hourly hiring, and then we'll get into kind of how and why AI can help.
Yeah, great. So I have a slide. Well, let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. So what I can tell you is the hourly market is very different than I will say the white collar space. Okay. Mm-hmm. First element is that you're not buying a candidate, you're buying a moment of attention. That's what is really different. Okay. What we're seeing right now, like the big job board provide the ability to apply really quickly and really easy to job seeker. And what we're seeing from our customer is, especially right now in some location across North America, there's starting to have more candidates. But what's happening is that you're talking sometimes to the wrong candidate. So, and the market is so dynamic, so fast that if you spend time talking to a wrong candidate, you're not hiring the right candidate. That's the first element. So speed, what we're saying is speed is more important than your employee brand. Okay, retailers have often the big advantage compared to other manufacturer or other type of companies that they're well known by the job seeker. Okay, the other element is if you're able to, you will reduce your cost of attracting in a way. But even if you have a lot of candidates, if your process is not fast enough, it will impact your ability to hire. And just to make sure that we have the same understanding of what speed is, like for us, our verified record with a retailer from the time that the person apply on their website to the time they got an offer is 40 minutes. Okay, so on average, our customer wire with a cycle time between 24 to 48 hours. We have one large retailer that is time to fill from applying to get scheduled a first shift is 4 hours. So when we talk about speed and the impact on speed, that's what we're talking about. The other element is the early market is very dynamic and also highly localized. So there's a big difference between a city and a rural area. So often retailer in cities, they don't have that much of an issue of having the amount of required candidate, but in rural, it's a big challenge. So your ability to target them and attract them is key. The other element that is a big change with the arrival of the smartphone, there's no resume. Okay, you have like in the US, 30% of the people between 18 and 29 don't own a computer. Their computer is their phone.
Mhm.
So if your process require to use a computer or not mobile friendly, you're losing a lot of those candidates. And the other element, what we found out is for a lot of job seeker, especially in retail, a job is a commodity. So for them, there's three main elements that will drive their choice of working for you. Salary is one element, but it's not only that. The location and also the schedule. So what we're seeing, the data show us is that we have customers that pay minimum wage, okay, but they're able to attract and hire employees. Why? Because they will choose the flexibility of that employer and the ability to walk to work.
Yeah.
So as a retailer or any company, you need to find what are your advantage on that job market, and that's the thing with the hourly market is that it's very dynamic and it's changing right now. One of the big advantage that retailer has is the ability to offer part-time jobs. Okay,
Mhm.
because we're more and more candidate looking for second, third, or fourth jobs, and they want to work when they're available, not when you need them. That's one of
Right.
the challenge of a lot of companies.
So I had a conversation about this earlier on a podcast. We were talking about people analytics, and we were talking about a retail situation, and the woman that I was on the podcast with said that she had been at a popular retail chain, let's say a low cost retail chain, and an employee was on the phone talking to her friend loudly about how much she hated her job and couldn't wait for the next job. And the fact is that that person might have three or four jobs, right? And just because you are a big name doesn't necessarily mean that your experience on the ground for that employee is great. And so that communication piece, and I think a little bit of AI to help automate some of that communication could be a big game changer.
It's a big game changer because just to use some stats, okay? Um, when you candidate, because let's say they ask question through text message or when you're answering promptly, and for us, the way that we use conversational AI, it's mostly for nurturing candidate, answering those kind of questions.
Mm-hmm.
What the data showed us is that when you answer the candidate within, let's say, a couple of hours of them asking the question, that reduce up to 40% the ghosting rate. Okay, because one of the biggest I will say constraint or frustration of job seeker, because we're doing a lot of focus group with job seeker, is hey, they ask question because often they apply, they want the job, but they have question, and if you don't answer them, they go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty amazed when we saw those results of reducing, because it's a big issue with a lot of retailer, and not only retailer, but the ghosting. And
Mm-hmm.
what I find amazing is that when you talk to job seeker, they don't understand the impact, the pain that they cause the recruiter or the store manager.
Right.
So there's a lot of education, and what we're seeing is that ability to answer their concern, the ability to provide the information they want, because often the question they ask are what is most important for them, the schedule, the ability. Okay, if I have a family emergency, can I have some flexibility? And that's where we're using that also when we're doing campaign attraction campaign, because they're telling us what is important for them, and so we're able to use that to attract the right type of candidate or promote the right type of employee value that employer value that a customer can provide to his employees.
So it's a question of empathy and a question of understanding your audience, right? Who you're trying to attract and what's important to them. As you two know, I just wrote a book about this called Hiring Humans.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this today, if you book a demo with Appy here, you will get a signed copy of Hiring Humans for everyone that books a demo. Christy, how do people do that?
So that's a great question, and thank you. What we're going to do is if you request a demo on our site at appyhere.com, there is a place for you to put in the comments hashtag hiring humans, and we'll know that you came in through here, and you will get all the love and attention you deserve, and we look forward to talking to you.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So, Martin, I think we want to talk about speed, data, and insight. Tell me a little bit about how AI and capturing good information and the quality of that information and the speed with which you can react to a candidate impacts your ability to have a better interview to hire ratio.
We're measuring everything in the recruitment process. Okay, from for example, where the candidate is coming from. What is very interesting is when they're not interested, for what reason they're not interested. Is it the location, the shift? Is it the salary? Is it your company? Because we're able to tell, hey, you have an employee brand problem. The other element, what we realize also, we're measuring a key element. We're measuring also the recruiter is getting, like Uber, after an interview, the candidate will assess the process, will assess his experience. And what we found really interesting, okay, is in retail, the data I'm telling you is only in retail. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of interviews, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not 10 interviews or 200 interviews, it's hundreds of thousands of interviews. 9% of the recruiter or store manager are responsible for 80% of the bad review from candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening, we're telling our customer is they have a few, I would say,
bad apples.
That's the word I was saying. Bad apple are causing a lot of the frustration when they will go into social media. It's a couple of them, but they have a huge impact. That's the network. The other element, why AI is so powerful. For example, one of our customer, 30% of why they were not hiring an employee is during the interview, they realized that the candidate availability and the requirement of the job didn't match. We are automating all of that. So it's 30% less interview. It's a better candidate experience, and it's a better store manager experience because you're talking to. The other element is the language. It could be the mastering of English or French. Here is available both French, English, and Spanish also. And we realize that in retailer, the ability to master the language that that needs to be spoken, sometimes it's 20% in major city when there's a lot of immigration. So it's another reducing number of interviews. So what we're the system. It's always a human that decide. Okay, it's a key element of the that kind of experience that 20% don't master the language, so you don't spend your time talking to the wrong candidate. And the system, it's not the system that decide. The way the system is designed is if someone doesn't fall through the threshold you determine, it's a human that will verify there's a recording. Okay, is it a speech impediment or really that person doesn't master or not able to read? That's the kind. So the human is central into that, but the AI is making the recruiter or the store manager a lot more efficient. So we're not doing magic, but give you after a couple of months, some of our customer and talking about people at large scale, their interview ratio is between 85 to 90%. Because they talk to only the available pre-skill that have the right availability And so, and it what we're seeing with, especially with store manager, when the store manager that are doing the recruitment, it's for them it's a better experience as an employee, because often they're kind of fed up of doing interviews. So, and the other element is the solution is give you the ability to create your own talent community.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you open a position, a rec, the system will go and see if there is candidate available in your pool of candidate,
Mm-hmm.
and schedule interview within minutes. So what we're doing right now, it's within an hour. So yes, you open the rec, within an hour you can have an interview. So and the when and in, when we're able to do that, at some point the feedback from store manager is that I have a lot more time doing onboarding, I have a lot more time doing training, and doing my job as a manager, taking care of the customer. I'm not scheduling interview. Because I mean, if your recruiter or your store manager are manually scheduling interview, you're living in another century. It's
Yeah.
you're spending so much time. It's an inefficient process, so it needs to be automated. So it's not one thing that the system do. It's a lot of little things at the end, measuring and improving your process, giving you feedback from both the recruiter and the candidate side to improve your process.
So
Oh,
go
sorry. I
ahead,
was just
Christy.
going to say, as a former practitioner and hiring 4 to 15,000 people a year, many of those being hourly workers, it's interesting because we really care about the hourly workers and the things they have to navigate to do an application. And a lot of these clients that we work with, we apply and test out their application process, and it's taking about 15 minutes to get through. It's requiring a resume. And I see a comment from Chris Nelson, which I think is fantastic. But what we're finding is that a lot of the hourly population is using their mobile phone as their computer. And so what the technology does and what we encourage is capturing the data and information that would be on a resume without requiring a resume, and allowing the application to take place in minutes versus 15 minutes. And it's really helping capture the moment of attention. But we polled these candidates to see how their experience has been. And I was surprised and delighted to see that out of the recent poll we did, it was 100% recommend to a friend on every single category we asked about use of ease and navigation and intuitiveness. So it's a great technology for that and expediting that process for them and taking the stress away.
So to Chris's point, yes, a large percentage of people do apply to jobs through their phone. It doesn't really allow you, unless you're pretty technically savvy, to adjust your resume for each job that you're applying to. And when you do get an easy apply, sometimes it's not really an easy apply, right? So you apply, you're on your phone, but you go through still 15 minutes of questions, even on what's supposed to be an easy apply, which is not a good experience, especially on mobile. And Appy here is a very good experience. I have tested it out and have had customers who have used it. And we did an interesting little trial at the TalentNet Live conference in last spring, and the results have all been just very positive. And like I say, it's beautiful, it's simple, it's relatively affordable. Just putting that out there, ladies and gentlemen. Way to get a step between your whatever system of record you have and the job board that is going to be a better candidate manager and candidate communication system than what you've got going right now. So, Martin, let's talk about lowering the level of water. What do we mean by that?
Okay, the image that we use, I started my career as a Kaizen facilitator and something in manufacturing. And what speed and data and insights provide you. Let's say your process is a boat, okay? And as we give more visibility, we get increase the speed. There's issues that you didn't know you had that are suddenly becoming an issue, okay? So we'll give you two simple examples from retailer. We have one of our customer. Okay, we started with them. They're applying to get the first shift was 17 days. Okay, and we've been able to reduce one easy element we're able to do is the ability to when they were hiring someone, they needed to go to the store, the candidate provide his hiring form, and the store manager was taking it and faxing it to the corporate headquarters. And what we're working with our customer, because we're measuring all of that, they realized that people in payroll, what they were doing, they will put it in a pile and do that once a week. So if you get hired on a Sunday and they were doing that on a Friday, so you lose a whole week. Okay, they didn't know that. Okay, so by automating that, now they're doing that on their phone, and they don't have the impression of following a form. It's a text message exchange. And let's say that the system is intelligent. It's an intelligent way of doing it because, even example, if they forgot to put the apartment, the system will say, "Hey, usually they're supposed to have an apartment. Do you put your?" So we're reducing number of error. So it went from 5 days to minutes.
Mhm.
So that's one example. And what we love to do with our customer, the HR team, is give them the ability to have inside data to find other issues. So one of our customers is opening one store a week. Okay, and the main bottleneck was the ability to recruit when they're going in a new city or a new neighborhood. Right now, the HR team is too fast for the rest of the organization. So IT and everything. So we found that they have other issues. And the shortage of people, the difficulty to recruit people is often the reason not to do things, or it's an easy answer to say why it's not working. So we're able to the data inside, be able to tell them, show them here. The issue is not the ability to attract. When you're following a process, a modern process, a frictionless process. And the way I explain the way to apply or appear, it's the same experience the first time. Often people say the first time you took a Uber. Because I remember the first time I took a Uber, it was very different. Okay, you leave, you don't pay and everything. Right now, ask me to take a traditional taxi compared to Uber, I take Uber anytime. So it's the same thing for the applicant. And the ability to provide inside data that it's at the store level. Okay, so that's where we're helping our customer really be data driven and leverage technology and have discussion about facts, not impression. Because one of the largest retailer in Canada, the first time they came to us, they told us we don't have enough candidate. So after 4 weeks, we were able to prove them your issue is not that you're not having enough candidate. The issue is that you're too slow. You're
Mhm.
losing candidate. You're losing at every step. So that's where the level of water that when you go there, there's issues that don't look at like an issue because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. But as we use data and go from bottleneck to bottleneck, that's where we're able to run from 17 days to 24 hours to 4 hours. And it's a change, completely change also the way that operation look at recruiting. Okay, so just tell you what we're doing right now with one of our customer is we're using their sales prediction to drive recruiting, because now the recruiting is almost in real time. So let's say they have pretty sophisticated algorithm to predict the sales, and if we know that they were missing employees, poof, automatically we send the the system start recruiting, and that retailer they will hire around 25,000 store associate with the equivalent of 4 full-time equivalent recruiters.
Mhm.
Everything else is automated. So it changed completely the ability of that customer to make sure he has the right employee, that the shelves are stocked, and it's no longer an excuse not having employees. It's no longer they in some region they had to close or reduce the number of hours because they don't have employees. Now, because we're going from bottleneck to bottleneck, they have the right employee at the right time, at the right schedule, at the right location. So
Right.
that's the power of using AI and using end-to-end platform.
Yeah, and end to end is key there. I work with a lot of retailers who have, over the last couple of years, have to shut down stores or have altered hours because they don't have enough people. And that doesn't necessarily change with the economy, right? I mean, and that, I think your customer is fortunate to have those real-time sales numbers and operations to have that kind of insight. A lot of organizations don't, and a lot of organizations don't know when they are really low on hiring. What they hear is regions or cities or specific stores saying, hey, we're in distress, and it's a reaction, right, versus a prediction. And so with the end-to-end data, you can really be on top of where you need leveling up. And I think that's a huge issue.
Yeah, and because the fact, to your point of the end-to-end platform, because it's all about right now, technology is able to provide both the recruiter and the store manager the ability to do things that was impossible in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming from the platform give you the ability to know the salary expectation of candidates that are geolocalized almost in real time. And what is really interesting also is the ability to, after a couple of weeks, we're able to tell you in a specific market, people that you're hiring, but those in that market that didn't apply, but we know their set expectation. We know if they want to work on weekends. We need to know if they want to work part time or full time. So we often tell our customer, especially in rural area, what you're looking for doesn't exist. So the issue, it's not that you can spend a lot of money in attracting candidate, what you're looking for. So either it's your employee brand, either it could be your the way you structure your offering in terms of schedule. And what we found really interesting is, and it's sometimes it's a dichotomy between the let's say HR will look at I need an employee, and operation it's a budget of hours. So what the system is able to do, it's help the HR team and the operation to talk the same language. So for example, let's say you are a store manager and you need 30 hours. Do I need 3 employee, 1 employee, 5 employees? The system will say, hey, here's all the candidate that fit your profile, and here's their the number of hours they want to work. And we can say, we have 1 employee that want to work that day 8 hours, another want to work 3 days 12 hours, another want to do part-time. We match. The system do it automatically and send the candidate. It's not something that happened day one. Okay, there's a lot of work, and what we realize is it's all about going back to your level of water, is going to look at those roadblocks and addressing it, by addressing it with data inside. And we're not talking about impression, we're talking about here's the reality of the market in that specific location.
So it allows for better planning at some point, right? Within weeks, not years,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And it asks the right knockout questions in an easy and quick way so that you're not interviewing the wrong candidates. So you have speed to hire, and you've got real-time data as to the availability at some point of your market based on the campaigns that you've run. And you can track it all and show it to senior management to prove that you're doing your job, which is always a blessing.
I'm glad that you touched on that, because we're very passionate about elevating our HR and TA leaders. And a lot of what I've found over the years is the challenge of explaining your pipeline, a challenge of explaining the metrics, and really being seen as a business partner.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I like about the technology is that it does measure every instance, and we are able to drill down and have continuous improvement and help the clients move forward. But it helps them be seen as subject matter experts within their own business, because they now finally have the data, they finally have the insights, and they can make recommendations, rather than being the whipping boy of, well, where are we at on the pipeline? What's the candidates look like? Why are they falling out? Those questions you can't always seem to capture are very easily captured in this instance. And we talked about candidate sentiment and feedback, which I'm very passionate about, as well as the user experience. And the really neat thing, as Martin mentioned, is that they're rating the managers, they're rating the interviewers, the recruiters, whoever's talking to them. So they're expressing that at that moment versus going out socially and destroying your brand. So I think that those are really important components.
Yeah. Brand reflection is really important just based on candidate experience. All right. So, Martin, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, because it's what we find out. Okay, it's just tell you for 2022. Okay, we run the numbers. 7.5 of the ghost interview were caused by the recruiter or the store manager,
Right.
and mostly it's just they forgot that they have an interview. Okay, so and I'm telling you, it's so a surprise when we show that to, let's say, the talent acquisition manager, because hey guys, it's not only the candidate. So imagine for the candidate experience is on time, and in that market, if you're 1 minute late to an interview, the candidate is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be on time, and it's one of what is so amazing about that is that when a candidate show up for an interview and is pre-screened, and through the process we learn about the company, about the candidate, because what is powerful is that at every interaction of the candidate with the company and the company with candidates, we're learning. So the system is very powerful to send reminder to very specific candidate at the right time. Okay, the what is so powerful with the phone is that we always have our phone nearby. So when we send them reminder for an interview 24 hours before, 2 hours before, 5 minutes before, okay, at each step we're reducing that, and also the system is intelligent to send the reminder, to send messages at the time when the most likely the candidate will answer. So that's leveraging the technology, because technology is able to provide a really better candidate experience. And also, as a recruiter, the fact that you're using, I think the best case in, well, like I was saying, nurturing candidate, the ability to nurture the candidate automatically. And I'll give you an example. It's not a retail example, but it's an example in manufacturing. Okay, we're able to tell one of our customers that 45% of his applicant didn't have an high school diploma. Okay, in that very specific market. So we told them you have an untapped potential. So they went, created a position for someone without a high school diploma, and with a training program to make sure that they have the basic skill set to do the job. So we've been able to retarget those candidates, ask them, and provide them with a very appealing opportunity, saying, "Here's, let's work with us. If we'll help you get your high school diploma, you get higher." So that candidate experience. Imagine the candidate that says, "Hey, I've been heard. That company is investing in me," and that's in that case, in that market, for that customer was a huge advantage. So that's how we you leveraging data, leveraging that side, you're able to change the way that you address the production need, because all of a sudden they have a lot good candidate, and with time, what they realize is that they tend to stay a little bit longer. And I'm telling you, especially in retail, one of our customers, we've been able to increase the retention after 30 days by 56% at scale, okay? And after 60 days by 68%, okay? It's not one thing that we're doing with a customer, it's that continuous improvement, iterative process to making sure that the schedule, the offering, everything is, and in that case, the store manager is talking to the right candidate at the right time. So there's no magic, there's a lot of hard work, but the the ability to create that type of value for customer, that's what drive us, because it's both the candidate is winning, and our customer also. That's what we are all about.
Okay, so wow, that's my dog. You talent leaders out there who want to affect change and are interested in, um, being on the cutting edge and want to try something new for your hourly hiring, reach out to Christy and Martin at Appy here. You'll find them at booth 812 at the HR Technology Conference if you're going to attend that. And I will also be there. I'll be signing some books. And speaking of that book, you can find it at hiring-humans.com. And if you reach out to Appy here and do a trial based on this presentation, you will get a signed copy of that book, all of your own. And I hope you enjoy these little live segments where we try to present to you new and interesting technology and kind of open the world up to what's new and innovative, because we're definitely here for the candidate experience, the recruiter experience, the manager experience, and I've really enjoyed talking to you both about this today. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you, Greg.
And Martin's awesome accent, it calls me Greg every time. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.